Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy show. We're over here in our Pod studio, and the NFL's breaking, college football's breaking, and of course there's women's tennis, and Govy has the number one player representing Bethune watches. Why don't you tell us what's going on, Govy? We're at the U.S. Opens. Gavy's watching this U.S. I don't know.
I am. I'm watching the U.S. Open. It happens to be pretty exciting. You have four Americans. Four Americans are in the semifinals, 2 men, 2 women. Both women. One is Emma Navarro, won the collegiate championships for Virginia. And then you have Jess Pegula, who is now number 4 in the world. Emma's number 10 in the world. Jess's father is the owner of the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. And
so she's had trainers and masseuses and everything her whole life.
But she's also worked as hard as possible to get. She got up at 7 o'clock in the morning working like crazy.
She beat Coco Graf, right?
No, that was Emma who beat Coco Graf twice.
Right.
But both of these players are represented by Bethune watch line. So they're playing a bunch of players that are wearing some of these other brands, but there's no match to wearing a Bethune on the court. They wear their watches on the court.
Isn't that unusual? I mean, is it
very unusual?
Is it Bethune do they wear it on the hand with the racket? So can it handle the shock factor?
Well, they wear it on their other hand. They wear it on their left hand, but it's a rubber. They have it on a rubber strap. It's interchangeable. And right now, they would never take it off because it has been, their career has taken off ever since they both started wearing it. So hopefully we could have a Bethune final. That would be very nice. And Tommy Paul represents Bethune on the men's side. He lost to Sinner, who will probably win the U.S. Open.
Well, there's nothing wrong with Rolex, but isn't that unusual? Doesn't Rolex have all the golfers, all the tennis players? Rolex is like the big giant in the watch field, right? Or Breitling,
this took
too?
them by surprise.
Oh.
But we're a very big Rolex account, so it's kind of like, we only want Rolex to do well and want their people to do well, but not as well as Bethune during this tournament.
All right, that's Govy's plug. Here we go. We're starting our show, Govy.
There's a lot of different ways to look at this. You can look at it like here's another shooting, but if you really want to look at it, how to try to prevent it is. This guy was on the radar. This kid was on the radar. Matter of fact, the FBI last year paid a visit to the house, paid a visit to the parents' house.
But he wasn't doing anything wrong that they could arrest him.
No, they said they checked it. They had guns in the house.
Okay, for the record, this kid posted some crap on social media, and they paid the FBI paid a visit to the house.
It was more than just crap that the FBI paid a visit to the house. Okay. It was that he was going to shoot up the school.
That's what he said.
Yeah, so they paid a visit to the house, and they found that there was guns in the house. The father assured them that he's supervised and he can't get to them. The FBI then turned it over to the local police, who basically kept an eye on this kid, and I don't think he was allowed in school. And
they transferred to the school.
And they got a warning, I think at 10 o'clock that morning, that there's a problem with this kid. And they didn't do anything.
See, this is a mess.
So they got a warning. So with all these warnings, they still didn't do anything. And this happened. Now, one way to kind of stop it, instead of saying this gun control, if you want to get rid of all the guns, it's easy. I could tell you to go to the south side of Chicago right now, give me some warrants, that I can search warrants. I could go into each house. I could come up with 1,000 guns. If that was your object, to get illegal guns off the street, you could do it that way. But they don't want to do it that way. They sort of want to make it tougher for law-abiding citizens. What you can do is a lot of these teachers that are there, if you're if you're a teacher in a school and you want to make extra money sometimes, you could be a math teacher that you're also a football coach. Or you could be the art teacher that also is a defensive, is a basketball coach.
I think, well-minded people can sit around a room and figure this out. It's a disgrace in America. We're giving all this money to Ukraine, and we don't have police officers or giving resources to retired cops or exactly what you're saying.
But what's even better is if you went up to some teachers there and you said, listen, if you don't want to be a football coach or any extra thing, if you have a license to carry and you want to go through a tough requirement, shooting, everything like that, and you want to carry your gun to school, we will pay you an extra $15,000 a year.
Of course.
And now all of a sudden, there will be certain teachers that will have guns in the school. And then if students know that some of their teachers maybe have guns, maybe they would think twice. Maybe. But it would help out.
Well, I don't know why they didn't shoot this kid. Why'd they let him put his gun down? I mean, shoot him. They stopped him and 14. They said, you're arrested. Shoot him.
He's 14.
He shot how many people? 30 people? He
and now you're going to arrest him as an adult.
Yeah, he gets a trial. Forget it. Blow his brains away.
By the way, after the trial's going to come out, then they're going to find out that he shouldn't be tried as
He's
an adult.
He's mentally ill.
And then it's going to be a thing. And it's just
this guy, John Hinckley, got out of jail. He shot a president of the United States.
Right.
They're going to get a giant lawyer, scumbag lawyer that wants a high-profile case. They'll do it pro bono, and they'll do something like mental illness or some craziness there. But anyway, talking about mental illness, Hunter Biden. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Hunter Biden, at the last minute, Cutty was right. Cutty said there will never be a trial.
But
he just pleaded out. He just pleaded guilty.
But they had you nervous because he went into the courtroom today, and people were.
There was no way there was a trial.
Do you know what? There was no. Did you see, by the way, the witnesses that were lined up that the government had?
Yeah, I mean, the guy had no shop.
So they had hookers. They had everything.
Well,
the White House.
It would have been like if we were on trial.
TMZ,
it was like a Seinfeld last episode or Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I'm so disappointed that you can't see some of this stuff.
Was it going to be? It wasn't going to be live, was it? No, it wasn't.
I don't know. It might have been.
Was his gun trial live? I don't think so.
Well, that's a different state. But OJ was tried in this state. And so was Michael Jackson. But, it's so. The bottom line is he's going to be pardoned. It's just, just like Joe Biden said, it's going to take God for me to step down. Well, let me tell you, Hunter Biden will be pardoned by Joe Biden.
Well, Joe Biden specifically said, I am not going to pardon my son. He didn't say he's not going to commute his sentence.
Is that the same way that Kamala Harris said Joe Biden didn't say he was going to stop fracking?
Right, in the 220 debate. That it's a play on words. It's a play on words.
Right. So she's saying I said I wasn't going to stop Joe Biden from fracking. I mean, come on, it's the same thing.
Well, Hunter Biden's taking a guilty plea. We're assuming the election's November 6th. Uncle Joe gets out of office January 20. So he has between November 6th and January 20. He's not running for president anymore. So he has, 2.5 months.
Well, he'll do it after the election.
Yeah, the election's November 6th, right?
The only curveball that could come is if they sentence Hunter Biden October 14th.
All right, so he goes to jail with Secret Service.
No way.
Yes, he gets Secret Service in jail.
You're saying, you want to bet me right now that you say Hunter Biden goes into a jail cell and that door shuts on him?
Before the election?
Before the election.
There's a lot of scrutiny. I'm not putting a bet on this one, but, okay. I think that he's going to take a deal. It doesn't matter 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, because he's going to get a pardon or a commutation. So it doesn't matter what he gets.
You know what? The question will be, how much can they pardon him for? What happens if something else comes up that they find out that, if Trump wins, they could dig into his and all of a sudden they find something else?
All right, so let's say you're Uncle Joe Biden. and you're going out to greener pastures. You're never going to run again. You're 80-some years old, 82. What's the difference if you pardon him for everything? It's a backlash
I don't think you're
on your
allowed
legacy.
to. I don't think you're allowed to. You can't pardon him for a crime that he hasn't committed yet until they discover it. This guy left. You know, one good thing about the Bidens, they were in office for an awful long time.
Well, look, you have to admit Hunter had a great run. But in my opinion, this is Joe's fault.
It is.
Do you know why it's Joe's fault?
Because they knew what he had. They had a drug addict kid calling the shots and making money for him.
No, that's not why
That's
I
a
say
good
it's
one.
Joe. That's a good one. But I say it's Joe's fault because if Joe never became president, nobody would ever bother Hunter Biden.
I said that
Do you
from the
agree?
beginning.
Do you agree with that? The guy would have coasted through this whole
Listen.
deal. They would have left him alone.
His wife, I also blame
He
Joe
would have
Biden.
been banging his sister-in-law, the hookers, the strippers. He would
Joe
have been banging
Biden
everybody.
loved the power, so she wanted the power.
Right.
But Barack Obama, when he said, I am not backing you, I'm backing Hillary Clinton, he's basically saying to Joe, let's take our money, because Barack was in on it, let's take our money, ride off into the sunset, and we're good. Let's go. And then all of a sudden, Jill and Joe start believing the hype that they could save the day, and now he's exposed. And you know what? It's there is a long list, with video of Joe lying, saying he wasn't involved. I don't know nothing. It's going to come out. I mean, it's going to be.
Well, if there's a trial to come out, but there's no trial.
Well, no, when the new charges that will come. By the way, when Trump, if he
comes, excuse me, what's to make him not? What's to stop him from making a deal right now and saying, "Look, I'll make a deal. Give me 5 years in jail. I'm done."
He's never going to jail. He'll never accept that. He'll never accept that.
But what's the difference? I would say I'm going to jail for 5 years knowing my dad's going to pardon me. He's lying. I'll tell them I'm okay.
Oh, you're saying just put it all on the table right now. Right, because if he hides anything. Because let's face it. If Trump comes into office and he can solve the Ukraine-Russia war.
Well, he's going to solve it. He's going to say to Vlad, in your green outfits that you wear every day, you're losing some land, pal. You have two options. Lose some land or fight without our money. I mean, but it's over.
And he's also going to say, Vlad, this Zimmerman isn't going to be a thorn in my side this time around. So I'm going to ask you one more time why this war's still going on. Did Hunter Biden and Joe Biden get kickbacks from Ukraine?
Nah, you think so?
It's Donald Trump.
Yeah,
he's
maybe.
going to. He's going to. He's going to get the information that he wanted.
I'm going to take the other side, Govy. I think Donald Trump has such a gigantic agenda of what he wants to accomplish to make America great again and make America healthy again. Now, with Robert F. Kennedy, I believe...
That's a good one.
Yeah, I believe that he doesn't want to get slowed down with chasing Nancy Pelosi and dealing with George Slopadopoulous on interviews and all that nonsense.
It's done. It's easy now because Zelensky is going to be a participant. He needs the money now. He's at war. His whole country, they're getting hit. He's going to do what Trump tells him to do.
Yeah, I think the war ends because Trump's just going to say, you got to lose some ground, bro. And you got to change your outfit, bro, and or you get no money. I mean, that's the hammer.
And let's switch over to the other war because Trump's going to solve the Israeli...
That's a little harder. How's he going to solve it?
How's he going to solve it? Because he's going to come and send one side that he says he's going to say that I'm behind Israel. This isn't mixed messages here. There's no more mixed messages by a vice president saying, Joe, don't go into what is it?
But what's he going to do? Bomb the shit out of the Hamas people? I mean, how's he going to end the war? Give me the the way the war ends.
He's going to let Israel keep going in there to do whatever
they
have to.
Too much time. It's taking too long.
I don't know. Maybe the U.S. helps. Maybe to show force, the U.S. helps. By the way, you know why the U.S. can help? Because there's American hostages there. And you know what? It hasn't been going that well for Joe Biden for 330 days. It's sort of...
Easy, I'm a Democrat,
It
Govy.
sort of reminds me of when Jimmy Carter...
Joe.
Jimmy Carter had hostages. What happened on day one of Reagan?
Joe's trying to avoid World War III. That's why he's like handcuffing the Israelis.
Iran let go of the hostages.
That's what he's got to do. Right. Trump will go after Iran.
I want my hostages. I'm coming in. I'm helping because you have the United States involved now.
So Trump, this would be a great Saturday Night Live skip. He gets on the phone with the head of Iran, what is Khomeini or whatever the guy's name is, and say, look, you got one day or we bomb your oil refineries, we bomb your nuclear weapons, or the war stops. And they have the other guy on the other side of the Saturday Night Live skit. No way, I'm not doing that.
Trump could say one thing. He could say, the last guy paid $6 billion for 6 hostages. That's not happening this time around. You have our hostages. I'm coming in. I'm taking you out. I want my hostages back. And I take office in 24 hours.
Right.
Boom.
And if you don't, I destroy your oil fields.
You know what Iran would do? They would give the hostages and they would say, we want to start off on good foot to show that we're willing to negotiate. So it would be like let me give you a little bit what you're asking for them to save face. But he's going to solve that.
I think so. Well, let's talk about the debate. It was our best reel last week, Govy. We had over 79,000 people view this one reel where we talked about Donald starting the debate out and saying, Kamala, look, let me explain the rules here. You're going to be dealing with Kim Jong-un and Chairman Xi. I can't be a gentleman tonight and give you flowers and hold the car door for you. I have to be a little ruthless because Kim Jong-un, you're going to be president of the United States. You got the red button on your desk, and you're going to have to be tough. So tonight, I'm not going to be a gentleman. That reel hit 79,000. We had over 250,000 views on our reels last week. Another great one was the crooks on the roof. How do we know it was crooks on the roof? But going back to the Donald one, I still don't think there's a clip out there, and maybe Barrett can put it in our show. I don't know if he can put it in the show, where Kamala was debating Pence in the last election, Vice President Pence. And
is that when the fly landed on his head?
Yeah, she said, excuse me, I'm talking. Excuse me. I think she can beat Donald Trump on substance, not on substance, on mannerism. And the way she's going to get under his skin. I don't know how they're training the guy, but at the end of the day, I'm going on record, as I did with Joe Biden, I don't think Donald Trump should debate her. What do you think?
I think he has to debate her because he could expose her in such ways that today, for instance, Donald Trump sat in front of business leaders, American business leaders around the world that Paulson put on. He handled every business question that could come up that was so far over the head of what Kamala Harris would be able to understand that, you know what, if he got the chance to debate her, he could be able to put certain things. He might say to her, Kamala, I have a question for you. Pennsylvania is so important to you. So important to you. How come Senator Fetterman isn't campaigning for you? How come Senator Fetterman is a big ally of Israel? Why are your policies completely different?
All right, so let me ask you
this. That's a very big statement.
That's a great question.
And he's a Democrat.
First of all, I don't know how he asks her questions. The moderator, David Muir, has to
Well, he just turns it around. You're allowed to, spin it around into,
okay.
Is it sunny outside? Well, let me tell you about what...
Well, what does Donald Trump do, assuming that David Muir asks her snowball, puffball questions, and then turns to Trump and asks him brutal questions?
He could say...
if he just leans all over Trump about abortion, which he knows is a loser issue
he could turn around and say, David, lucky for me, I'm prepared that you throw lazy pitches going her way, and I'm ready for the fastest fastball you have because I'm going to knock it out of the box. You could sit there and throw her softballs for the rest of this thing. That's okay. Let me handle your question now for you, David.
All right,
and it brings awareness that people are sitting there, and now David Muir has to sit there and say, wait a second. People are going to start to... They start listening to that.
Yeah. So they're going to have a big audience. How many? You want to do an under-over bet? I'm going to say under 50 million.
Under?
Yeah, under 50 million viewers.
It's close to that number. That's a pretty good number that you came up
Well,
with.
you want under or over? I'll let you pick either side for $100 bill.
What day does it fall on?
I don't know.
If it's if it goes under football, well, it has to be covered by every network. But if it's ABC and there's football,
Yeah, it's ABC.
No, but Monday Night Football might be on ESPN.
I think it's a week from today. It's a Thursday.
Right. It won't be 50 million. It'll be under because there's going to be football.
Yeah, that's.
And there's going to be baseball one.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that don't really give a crap.
Right.
Their minds are made up already.
All right, this is my suggestion, Donald, if you're listening to me. If they throw her softballs and they start to throw you some real fastballs. You see that kid threw a 105-mile-an-hour fastball the other day? Yeah. Can you imagine being at a plate with a 105-mile-an-hour fastball coming at you? This is my suggestion, Donald. I think you should say, if you don't ask her a hard question immediately, I am standing up and I am walking out. And have him stand up and walk out of the debate. It will be all over the news. They asked him to ask a really hard question, David Muir, a really hard question. He pussied out on it. And I say, did you see the interview? I forget who it was against. Not Dana Bash, one of ABC or something. This is last time. And he said, you're going to be fair. Leslie Stahl, I think it was.
Right. She's on CBS.
CBS, yeah. And he stood up and he walked out.
Right.
I think if he stood out and walked out.
That was a 60 minutes. That was a 60 minutes interview.
If he stood up in the middle of the thing and walked out, wouldn't that be amazing?
As long as he's in the right to do it, like that he has.
If he's baiting her and giving her, these softball questions and the answer at the same time. Well, what do you were against fracking, now you're for fracking, but in 2020 you did say this and that. I mean, he gives her the answer too.
Well, yeah, it's crazy in politics. It's sort of like a chess match. You make a move and then you see what the other people counter your move. An interesting thing today, for instance, would be that. Trump is appointing Elon Musk. Did you hear this? To be in charge of cutting the waste in the country to lower the deficit. For him to go through wherever there is waste.
Did he accept that job?
Yeah, it looks like he accepted the job.
When's he going to fit that into his schedule?
But here's the problem with that.
Right.
Here's the problem with that. Do you remember when he took over X, Twitter?
Yeah.
The first thing he did is he fired all the people and he got rid of the waste.
Right.
And then Trump mentioned that, and the labor leaders were there with the union.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, that's not what you want to hear, that a person's... Now, how much waste do you think this country has when you read things in the budget, when you're like, we gave $50 million to do bee research. We gave $46 million to discover the way caterpillars form into butterflies. I mean... You could have a guy come in here and Elon Musk could go, nope. And these are all government, jobs with people that are,
Yeah, I don't know how you get rid of them, but I just know
that would be
when
great.
I go over to the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles,
right.
and you wait 3 or 4 hours, there's like 9 booths in front of you, and there's 6 people in the back. You can hear them laughing and giggling, and there's only 2 people at the window.
Right.
That I'm giving Elon Musk the job to, set that straight.
Well, how many, he hired a lot of government jobs, and, a lot of government jobs that were part-time, he included in his jobs,
Right.
So, I mean, Elon Musk is going to be the bad guy because he's coming in there.
He loves it, though.
Oh,
he fired 80% of Twitter, and it exists, and it does better.
Because you know what? Elon Musk has Asperger's. And one of the great attribute of someone with Asperger's, they don't really show, first, emotion, and 2, they don't feel what someone else feels. So they don't put themselves in someone else's place. So he can go in there and say, I have a job to do, and he just is it's black or white. And he's going to sit there, and his job is to clean it up. He's cleaning it up. There will be some really sad stories, but I think right now you need something like that.
Yeah, but don't you think there'll be a riot from the union workers? How do you get rid of, it's like a teacher with tenure. You just can't get rid of them. I mean, how do you get rid of people that have some...
You eliminate the jobs, and you can put them somewhere else. You could eliminate...
Govy's a problem solver.
You eliminate the job. it's so that's an interesting that's an interesting thing. Listen, we're in a situation right now that you could be the governor of New York, and it's a pretty powerful position, and you could have a Chinese spy for you for 10 plus years. 10 plus years. She's watching that balloon go overhead. She's telling Governor Hochul, don't worry about it. They're just getting information over your military base.
Was she Chinese?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see a picture of her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she was Chinese. I didn't see a picture of her.
And by the way, steered everything away from Taiwan to make sure she was even make sure that Taiwan wasn't getting anything. So, yeah, steer. And all of a sudden, once she got caught, Governor Hochul goes, I feel betrayed. I mean,
it's crazy.
5 years under her.
Well, you got Tim Walz without a T, WALZ, 30 trips to China. He may be your next vice president. Have they vetted him out? Have they figured out what his deal is yet? Who the hell goes to China 30 times?
Did they vet out Walz's family, who all wears I'm for Trump shirts?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. But I mean, he could be a Chinese spy now.
Listen, they didn't vet him, and all I could tell you is, with New York and everything going on in politics there, how about that the head of the Attorney General's office in New York, Bragg, someone took a closed camera, and the guy on tape said that Bragg crossed over the lines, that this is just lawfare, and this is all bull crap. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is a guy in the office.
Unbelievable. So, Govy, let's talk about this student campus riot stuff. School just started again at Columbia. Mm-hmm. Two of my older kids went there. My third went to U of P, University of Pennsylvania. So these two campuses, they're rioting like crazy. My last one, a senior in high school, is about ready to go to one of these schools, the smartest of the bunch. And I just want to know, the school's supposed to teach these kids how to survive in the world. And they literally had 4 months off the whole summer to figure this the frig out. To figure out how to deal with these riots. And the first day of school, there's riots with the PLO on campus. What are they doing? Why can't they? Look, I'm an idiot. What I would say is pass a law. You want free speech. You get this corner of campus 2 miles away from the center. It's an acre and a half. You can have your riots over there. Not in the center of campus. Pass a law. Nobody can have anything happening in the center of campus. Why don't these schools figure it out?
Well, they did. They did figure it out because this is what they figured out. They really don't care what your opinion is. They really don't care what your opinion is because they're getting money from Qatar, and that's not going to stop. And to prove the point, Harvard decided to hire somebody for this tough situation. Who do you think Harvard hired?
Didn't they hire the president of University of Pennsylvania?
Out of everybody,
that got fired.
Right. Out of everybody you could hire in the United States, you hired a president that had to step down on handling just this situation. Why would you do that? That's your solution? Now, the person in charge of hiring at Harvard University is Pritzker, whose brother is the governor of Illinois. And it just so happens that besides being the Hyatt Hotel heir, he has 1,000 other hotels that where are these illegal immigrants staying?
In his hotels.
In his hotels.
Wow. Second question.
So it's like,
he's making money hand over fist.
Making money
They're probably charging the federal government or the local government, state government, some huge amount of money per night.
They said, bring me more immigrants. Bring them up here to Illinois.
100% occupancy.
Bring them up here. You know what? Hire the person from Penn. We're moving. We got our agenda.
But don't you think it's like kind of disgusting? Literally, they had the entire summer to figure this out, how to deal with riots on campus and let the Jews cross across the campus to their classes.
So I'm going to.
Why couldn't they figure it out?
I'm going to tell you why they couldn't figure it out.
4 months.
I'm going to tell you why they couldn't figure it out. If they had a leader, and it was Donald Trump that was president, and this is an election year, Donald Trump would have said to these schools, you do not get one dime of United States money, not one dime. Make sure that every single Jewish person can get to school, not one problem. If there is a problem, you're cut. and they would have done it. But Kamala Harris right now is in this, she's like going back and forth. She needs Michigan. She needs all these people protesting are her voters. They're none of Trump's. So she needs them.
But why can't they create on every campus a free speech zone? This is the area the free speech is allowed. Over by the tennis courts or over by the baseball field. And that's where you're allowed to picket. That's where you're allowed to burn an American flag. That's where you're allowed to do whatever the hell you want to do.
Do you live in like this utopia? Do you really live?
Why can't you do that? And if you do anything, any other place on campus besides that free speech zone, you get arrested.
So you expect these guys with the scarves around their face, the canisters of paint, you want them to say on a bullhorn, "Hey, everybody, don't do it here. They got a spot for us a mile and a half off of the..."
I think Harvard should pay some guy $1 million to create a color-coded chart that they're going to pass around to all the students that'll say where the free speech zone is, where the basketball court is, baseball field. I think they have to create a zone or come up with something. I'm not smart enough for this, but you got to figure it out, folks.
Not to jump around. The reason why it's hard for these people to figure it out, when you have Meta right now, and they have a board that can tell you what is allowed to go on the internet and not. And they decided, because this was brought to them, they ruled today that the phrase "from the river to the sea," or the sea to the river, whichever way you want to say it, that's okay. And that basically is you're saying you want the end of Jews. It's the annihilation of Jews.
You can say it in the free speech zone.
Yeah, but Facebook is saying it's okay to say it on Facebook.
Well,
yet they blocked Donald Trump last year.
Alexa did that too. Did you see that Alexa thing?
Is that? So tell me. And you know what they always say?
I don't have one.
They always say, because I listen to it, they always say, "I'm sorry, it was a mistake." But the mistakes are never on the Republican side. It's always, they're the ones that have to say, "Sorry, you caught me. Sorry, you caught me. Sorry, you caught me."
Do you have an Alexa?
I do.
I don't have one.
I listen.
Well, they're spying on you.
Yeah.
All right, Govy, I see you have your Philly shirt on. Let's talk about, because I did call you. Let me ask you before you start. I see you have that big sheet of paper there. But I called you and I said, the Philadelphia Eagles have a billboard in Philadelphia, a placard on the street promoting Kamala Harris. You said
at every bus stop. At every bus stop.
You said it has to be a fake.
Okay.
And I called one of the frat boys.
Wait. Before
Cutty Jr.
Before you said it was a mistake, I got to let you know something.
You said it was a mistake.
Right. I said it was a fake. So I just want to go on record to say that the Philadelphia Eagles, when they first found out, they said, "It's not us. It wasn't us, and it is a fake." And as it turns out...
So, as it turns out, it was somebody from the Eagles that did it, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I think
it was legit, even though they didn't have the authority to do it.
So one of the frat boys told me it's an NFL policy they can't take a political side.
They could sue them.
So I think what should happen is Jeff Lurie, who owns Philadelphia Eagles.
Equal time.
No, I think he's got to be accountable. You fine him $5 million. You tell him, you don't have a control of your employees. You had a rogue employee that put up something against NFL policy. It's like you punching a referee during a game. You're going to pay a $5 million fine. And if every owner gets slammed in the pocketbook, whether it was a Republican or a Democratic thing, if every owner gets slammed in the pocketbook, they're going to be more accountable.
By the way, this wasn't, just for our viewers, this wasn't one bus stop. This was hundreds of bus stops, I'm guessing, that they did.
Barrett, maybe you can find one of the pictures of one of these bus stop things and put it on the show here.
But it was a lot of bus stops. And if you told me that this happened in the most important state of the election that's
true.
Coming up, the most important state, and Philadelphia, by the way, is the most important city in the state for this election because that's the all-Democratic city. That is worse than Deflategate. If I'm Roger Goodell, that Deflategate, if Tom Brady emptied the air out of a ball, that doesn't change my life at all. That's minor that they spend all this money. This affects Americans. This is who watches your sport. I think Roger Goodell has to come down on Jeffrey Lurie, and I think it should be $10 million. And I think
Thank you, Govy.
And it should be statements going around.
Well, I'm shocked you're taking this position.
Yeah.
Because when I spoke to you on the phone, you laughed and you said it's...
Because I thought it was a fake. I couldn't believe that.
I love it, Govy. You're the best.
It's unbelievable.
I agree with Govy. I mean, the NFL owner has to pay the price here. I mean, it's a disgrace.
Who cares about air and footballs when you got a person putting bust up saying the Philadelphia Eagles are backing Kamala Harris?
No, we're marginally intelligent, and we're not going to be swayed by a poster by the Philadelphia Eagles saying to vote for Kamala Harris.
Right.
But there are people, not podcast superstars or as intelligent as us, that may see that poster and will be swayed by it.
Right.
And their vote is equal to your vote and my vote. We all get one vote, folks.
And speaking of voting, there's just one issue that keeps bothering me. Why would anybody be against having to show an ID to vote? I don't care, Republican, Democrat. If you have to show that card to get into the DNC convention or the Republican convention or to a Bruce Springsteen concert or to a sporting event or to the airport, whatever it is, you have to, or to a bar, we're used to it by now. If you had 14 million illegal people come into this country, and by the way, they're committing crimes, they have no problems pulling knives, punching police officers. Do you really think voting illegally, that's going to say, oh, don't do that crime? You know, just rob the store, have a gun, do an armed robbery, but do not vote illegally. Well, it's crazy.
Well, what's to stop somebody from getting a fake ID? All my kids had them in high school and college. I mean, they get a fake ID, and that's how they...
Well, I think you could check a license. There's things that you
Okay, what happens if there's a warrant out for you or you're an illegal immigrant?
Well, you maybe have to make that you have an ID. You can't say, come on down.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to get as many Democratic voters.
But the Democrats are fighting this. And that's where you lost me. You lose me on, let's just have a fair election.
Right, but they don't want a fair election. They want to win.
But that's not what it's all...
I understand.
Then don't complain if all of a sudden you're saying, hey, Putin's trying to sabotage that. Because, by the way, we're back at, you know what happens when 1 month before the election, we got Russia collusion again. I mean, I'm tired of this. They keep beating the same horse. Just like Kamala Harris says, we need a change. She's been vice president for 4 years. Give me a break.
All right. Well, that's not going to happen. I think that's a state right. The state gets to decide whether you have ID or not. It's not a federal.
Well, some they have to undo. Like North Carolina has to now show ID.
Yeah.
They were trying to do it without that. But should I give you some of my football picks?
Yeah, let's hear them, Govy, because we have a few minutes left. Last week, first, let's get your record from last week. You won some college games.
I went 2-2. I lost a tough Penn State game.
You won the Temple game.
I won the Temple. You got to bet against Temple. They were getting 42 points, but it still wasn't enough. They lost to Oklahoma. Had University of Miami beating Florida. They pounded them.
That was an unbelievable game.
Pounded them so much that the coach is going to be fired after this year. They already changed quarterbacks.
That was crazy. What was it, 42-17?
And the Hurricanes, when they walked off the field, all the future recruits for Florida were on the field, and Miami players went up to them and said, don't go to this school, come to Miami.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was a huge thing. But so for this week...
Well, Miami's not a state school. You have to pay, right?
Yeah, but all these recruits come from the state of Florida.
Yeah, they get free anyway.
And they get free, and they get paid. And they're getting paid.
Right.
Miami quarterbacks are getting $3 million a year.
It's crazy.
So let's go for tonight. We got football starting tonight, NFL.
Thursday night football.
Thursday night. It's the Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, you got to go with Kansas City. What's the point?
And you got Taylor Swift in the audience.
Now, I did send out to Govy that there's an internal memo out that they're breaking up the 23rd of September. It's out there. TMZ found a memo that's the official breakup date.
Cutty now is reading.
Now that he signed a $100 million podcast contract, a little less than what we signed for.
Well, I'm glad you're reading the TMZ rather than the National Enquirer. You have moved up. You have moved up to TMZ now. They are getting married. They're going to end up getting married. And to let you know, tonight with Taylor Swift in the audience, I am going with the Baltimore Ravens.
What's the spread?
+3 over Kansas City. So I'm going.
Where's the game?
I think it's in.
It's got to be Baltimore, right?
I think it's in. I'm not sure. I think it's in Kansas City.
Okay,
but I like Baltimore +3.
You're going against the Super Bowl champs.
I know.
It's crazy.
They're still doing. They have some. Baltimore has something to prove. Then tomorrow night,
I don't like that
the
bet.
Philadelphia Eagles are playing in your son's hometown of São Paulo, Brazil.
Right, that's got to be
against the Green Bay Packers, and I like the Philadelphia Eagles -2 over Green Bay.
How long did they have to get down there? That trip
they came down Thursday.
It's not enough
and they
time.
had to apologize because the couple guys on the Eagles, they were told by the NFL, do not leave the hotel. There's a lot of crime down there. Don't go anywhere. Stay there. And then when the league found out that he made these comments, he had to say, "Oh, I was wrong. It's a very safe place."
I found it to be very safe.
Right, you were there. So then the other games that I have in the NFL are the Atlanta Falcons -3.5 over the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
I like the Buffalo Bills -6.5 over the Arizona Cardinals.
Where's that game?
It's in Buffalo.
I like Buffalo, and I like that bet.
-6.5, and the Bears -3.5 over Tennessee.
Really?
Yes.
Where's that game?
I believe it's in. I think it's in Chicago, and I like Chicago.
So, Govy, you're an expert in betting, and what do you think a home game is worth in points? Is it worth a field goal, a touchdown? It's got to be worth at least a field goal.
Couple points. Philadelphia is maybe worth a couple points.
2 points or 3. The big difference between 2 points and 3 points.
Well, it depends on the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me Jacksonville or you told me Miami Stadium is half the stadium is the other opponent. So that's not even a home stadium. But in Philadelphia, we're ruthless.
Right. Ruthless. They throw snowballs at Santa Claus in Philly.
College football on Saturday. I like the Cincinnati Bearcats over the Pitt Panthers laying 1.5. I like Texas -7.5 over defending national champion Michigan.
Wow.
Texas -7.5, and then you cannot go a week without betting against Temple. And this time it's the Navy Academy -12.5 over Temple, who was at home.
Where's that? Franklin Field?
No, it's it's the Link.
The Link.
Right.
It's at the Link.
It's at the Link.
Oh my God.
And it doesn't make a difference. It's going up against the Navy Academy, and that's what they needed. They needed Temple on their schedule.
That's a great one.
And that's what you need to do.
All right, folks, what a great show. My book is coming out next week. Or 2 weeks, it'll be on Amazon, so we'll premiere it then. This is a rough copy. So it's called Left Foot, Right Foot, Survival Guide for Business and Life, and we're trying to figure it out, but here it is. Anyway, Govy, let's root for some of your teams here. That was great bet. Good games.
Right, and then I got, for next week, I'm going to be pushing this product. It's called Night Owl. Electrolytes. It's packets. People should bring it to bars or at home. It makes it, or after working out at the gym. It's great.
What's it do for you?
It brings you back so you don't have a hangover.
Well, what's wrong with like a Celsius?
That's already in a can. This is in a powder form, so you can put it into water.
Oh, so it's for a hangover.
It's for or working out to rebuild your electrolytes. So but it's really good to have at the end of a night to make yourself feel better the next morning. And tonight, very important. Americans, Emma Navarro, Jess Pagula. D. Bethune watches.
Tennis, folks.
Let's bring it home.
All right, everybody have a great week. Thank you.